Good morning, folks. Welcome to Coffee with Artists. My name is Rachel Wilkins. I am delighted to be here back for week 2 of a brand new season of Coffee with Artists. Today, I have a wonderful guest joining me. I have geological photographer Joel Simpson. Welcome to the show, Joel. It's great to have you here.
Rachel, it's wonderful to be here with you. Thank you.
So we have a ton of stuff to cover. Joel probably has one of the most extensive resumes that I've ever seen of anybody that I've ever interviewed. So there's a lot that I want to get through. Even before we talk about the art, I would love to just talk a little bit, Joel, about your background, about your history. If you could tell me just a little bit, well, first of all, for our audience, just a little bit of background. Joel has a PhD from Brown in comparative literature, was a professor and taught for many years. One of the most exciting things to me was that you were also a jazz musician who played professionally in New Orleans for several years and now find yourself creating these amazing abstract geological photography. Joel, how did you fit it all into one lifetime, first and foremost? And would you say that your heart is a true artist? Are you a true artist at heart?
Oh, whatever that means. I'm so glad to be able to say I'm an artist now, not a professor, not a critic. Was all those things. And only recently have I been able to say, well, maybe I have something somewhat original. Not that it hasn't been done before, but it hasn't been done my way before, and I can tell you about that. When I'm in a geological setting, and I'm sure other people have seen this. If you've gone to Badlands, if you've gone to granites on a seashore, rocky beaches, it puts me in an altered state. I love it. It does this to a lot of people, right? So I just followed that. Follow your bliss, said Joseph Campbell, and I started working, especially during the pandemic. This is very recent. I learned how to make these rock photographs even more tangible by emphasizing what we call structure, and this is fairly new in Photoshop. And I came up with discoveries that black and white abstracts and semi-abstracts can be very interesting. And then I looked around, no one was doing it. With one exception, Siskind turned up in 1981 with a series of 100 medium format, this size negatives, black and white, of the lava from volcanoes in Hawaii, like Mauna Loa. And it looks like dark-skinned body parts, like after a massacre. And he was very politically active. And these have never been published, but you can see various examples from the series in different museums all around the country. I just discovered this online. So I thought, oh, there's a predecessor and a very prestigious one doing what I'm doing now, looking at rocks and saying, we can project our own messages, our own visions, our own obsessions, our own unconscious drives and fears and loves into these rocks. He was doing it. He did it in one place. I go all over the world. He did it, and it was honored but forgotten. There was never a market for it. So I'm taking a gamble that I can enlarge this. I did it long before I discovered him, but it's nice to have a predecessor and be convincing about it.
So this whole idea of art imitates nature imitates art. You mentioned that you've traveled all over the world to take these incredible photographs, which we are going to get a look at, folks. We're going to have some of Joel's images on screen in a little while. What compels you, Joel, to get out there on the road and travel to these far off remote places and get into these nooks and crannies of the earth and take these photographs?
So I've always loved travel, and it took me a while in photography to say, wait, I'm seeing things I've never seen before, and my first impulse was, oh, I can't take that. It's not as good as these famous what these famous photographers have done. My models, David Munch and Galen Rowell and William Neal, for example. I'd never seen anything in what they did, Jack Dykinga, that what I'm photographing. Sometimes I can approach that, And of course, I don't turn down a good landscape. But I was fascinated by things. I wondered, is anybody going to like this? But I was capturing things I'd never seen before, and I got over the hesitation to actually snap the shutter and take the picture. And then I got home, and then a few years later, I learned how to bring these things out and make them into images that I was just transfixed by. And I hope other people are too. It's not for everybody. And then I started going into the history of this art period, the Surrealists, and then the late Surrealists like Roberto Matta, Wolfgang Paulin, Arshile Gorky. Of course.
Now, when you go into these environments, has there been any particular place that you felt that almost like that spiritual connection, because it has been so rich in the source of inspiration that it's provided you with?
You mean my favorite places?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Some of my favorite places are Distay Badlands in northwestern New Mexico, Cappadocia in Turkey, incredible geology and incredible history too, with underground cities and monasteries carved into rocks. The Colorado Plateau, which is how many 100,000 square miles in Utah, southern Utah, northern Arizona, northern New Mexico, and southern Colorado. And I'm going back there at the end of this month. But these places that are rich with rock formations just put me in an altered state, and I go around photographing without thinking. It's intuitive now. My composing is intuitive. Well, here's the challenge. You see these incredible rocks. You see something, and you take it, and then you get home, and you see there was something else, but I cut it off. Oh no! So you have to be aware of what you're doing too. And I'm also taking panoramas and drone photographs, drone stills.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, let's talk a little bit about your process. So, you obviously have an idea of where you're going, particular formation or particular, geological site. When you get to that site, you say you feel this kind of sense of, you're doing this, you're compelled to do this.
Altered state.
Altered state. I like that. I like that. I think as artists, we generally all are tapping into some form of altered state. I think we're all ready to travel. Tell me a little bit about this dedication. I was reading when I was doing my research that you had this dedication to the issues surrounding the Dakota Access Pipeline.
Oh yeah, sure. Here's my book, and
we're going to put it, just so everybody knows, we're going to put a link to Joel's website and link to the book where you can purchase this at the end.
I have a friend in Tiburon, California, in Marin County, and she had speaking at her. She's rather wealthy, and she does wonderful things with her money. She has an institute there called the Sunrise Center, and she had Danny Sheehan, the great social justice lawyer, speak, and Chase Ironeye, who's the Lakota lawyer who led the water protectors and got arrested, and Danny got him off because he showed the bad faith of the oil company and the state with their militia. So I was inspired by this, and I said, I'm going to do this book, and I'm going to dedicate it to you because you in this particular movement, and Native Americans in general, are really the stewards and protectors of the earth, and we need to follow their example. They live with the earth, and often in industrial society, we're damaging the earth, as we all know. So that inspired me. So the book is about honoring the earth. I thought, what could be more appropriate than people who put their bodies on the line to save their patch of ground? Right.
Artists for centuries have been bringing light to social issues, and I think it's really important because we can do it in such a visual way that can compel people to really consider their beliefs.
Immediately, we have to be truth tellers. Artists are truth tellers. You have to find mentors who say, yes, you can do it. One of the things that I learned as a musician was, don't do music if you want to do it. Do it if you have to do it. And what that means is, do it if you're willing to practically starve. Do it And what that means is that you treasure that altered state, that what the art gives you, more than you treasure security. That's hard.
So I'm really excited that you're making these steps, because you have so much of a foundation, Joel, so much richness, so much story already, that seeing you put this stuff into action and actually put yourself out there is really exciting. All right, so let's look at some artwork, because time isn't ticking away. Sure. Joel's going to give us a little tour of his work and some of the parallels between his geological photography and some of the artists, the surrealists, the abstract expressionists. Just a reminder, folks, that we are here every Friday. We're here 11 o'clock every Friday, Coffee with Artists. If anybody has any questions for Joel today, do drop them in the comments. We're going to be here until about noon. And yeah, do jump in and contribute and ask some questions, folks. We'd love to hear from you. All right, Joel, I'm handing this over to you.
Okay, very good. So you've seen two landscapes, and then my reference to the Scream. This is a Dali reference taken from rocks very close to his house, and there's his Face of War. This is my surrealist rock formation with a phantom figure. See the elephant legs?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There are the elephant legs. All right. Wow. Two from Dali. I was actually thinking of that when I took this picture. That's from Wadi Rum in Jordan. And this is, of course, the Temptation of St. Anthony. This is, let me see if I can pause this. Yeah. Okay. This I consider a liminal figuration photograph taken from Valley of Fire, Nevada, Valley of Fire State Park. And there's so much here, but it's not quite explicit. If you look down here, this looks like fingers, right? And I saw something after I took this in a Basquiat painting that looks very much like this. These spheres could be a head and breasts, a tongue here. Who knows? But I don't want to tell people what they are. I call this mental playground. And it's an example of a flat plane photograph. In other words, it's not a landscape with perspective. It's a rock surface. There's a little bit of sky in the upper right. But otherwise, it's a rock surface. It's a relief, a bas relief or bas relief, that allows your mind to play. And I've noticed that in the late surrealists, we're going to move on now. Here's another one. This is lava. And what are these things? I mean, it's very appealing. You don't know exactly why. This is another thing. This is called a tafonu, with tafoni here. There's like the honeycomb pattern, but the whole thing is a big cavity, and it's a totally natural formation that I found in the wilds of southern Corsica, and it was also used as a shelter for herdsmen. Something else. This is from Doolin in Ireland. Just something that appeals to me. I don't know why. I assume it's a subconscious draw. Here, this is from an area very close to Dali's house again, called Salqueria Petita. It's not Cap de Creus, but I see here. I don't know if you can see my cursor right in the middle. There's kind of a howling banshee. You see the mouth here, the nose, and the eyes. This is a granite very close to a beach, and I call this fossil banshee.
Wow. Look at the texture. My goodness. I can see the face in this one already.
Yeah, you see the face? It's kind of collapsed ET. So I call this intraterrestrial.
I love the names, Joel.
It's from a place called Crack in the Ground near Christmas Valley, Oregon, in southeastern Oregon, which is a volcanic fissure that you walk for about a mile, and then but the formations inside it were just amazing. Now here's something from Roche's Point in County Cork, Ireland, and this is this abstract? Is it liminal figuration? It's obviously limpets and their spawn. There's a little pool of water, which it looks like a sinister eye of a buried monster to me, but it doesn't have to be. But look at all the cross bedding here. So what does this remind you of? And here are some more. This is in Salt Point State Park in California. Could it be Mondrian? Could it be Pollock? Let's just look at. And here, this is these are little tiny tubes. It's referred to as frostwork. It's a rare cave formation from a cave called East Sudas in Sardinia. And I just have a little video light that I'm walking around with on the tour, and you know, there's no tripod. Is it figurative? Is there a face? Is there like an Archimbaldo face at the end here on the left, or is it pure abstract? Doesn't matter. Now this is a Mata painting to give you an idea of what I mean by liminal figuration. And here's Jackson Pollock, okay, Arabesque, 1948. This is Mata. That got a little mixed up. I'm sorry, but liminal figuration. This is Pollen. This is Wolfgang Pollen. Liminal figuration. And here's Pollock. Okay, and I should have and this is Pollen. I'm sorry, it's a little mixed up between the late Surrealists and the Abstract Expressionists. Then this one should have preceded it. Okay, a detail of Pollock.
Yeah. All
right, but you see now. They're using colors. Paints are colors, and of course, black and white as well. And I'm largely working in black and white. But this is color. This is a photograph from a dry riverbed stream bed in Bistai Badlands, one of my favorite places, from 2012. And I thought, oh, this is really interesting, but I don't know what it means. So I just left it alone. It's not in my book. And then after really reading more books on the abstract expressionists and learning about Pollock's painting called Mural, I went back to this. Wait a second, there are very similar gestures in Mural, except that over here on the bottom left, if you can see my cursor, there's a little gesture from Matisse, right? Up here too.
Oh, I see it. The little, almost like the hand.
Yeah.
Yep, I totally see that. Wow.
Yeah. But then if we look at his mural, it's a little different, but do
you have a Matisse that we can show? Oh, this is a
1943, which was on loan to the Guggenheim from Iowa for about 2 months. But you can see the repetitive motifs. There's something modularly similar to my sand rivers for JP, this Jackson Pollock. All right. Now here's once again back in East Sudas Cave. I'm so glad I went there. The frostwork and these stalagmites coming down, but my God, they reminded me of blue poles of Pollock.
Yep.
Right. All right. So it helps. There's the whole picture, the whole frame of blue poles. It helps to familiarize yourself with
look at that
art. Okay. And this became the cover of Natural History magazine in June of 20.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was nice. Now here's a geological landscape, and to me this looked like a dead city. You know, here are cap rocks missing their caps, have fallen off, tentacle-like things, War of the Worlds you might think of. This is a close-up of dried mud from Bistai. Now here's another dried mud with outlines that are detached from the center. Okay, what does that remind you of? Well, it reminded me of Gorky.
Yep.
If you reverse this, you get this, and this is even closer to my version. So you know, these are not copies. That's another Gorky. Now again, look at the notion of liminal figuration. They're almost something you recognize. If it may appeal to you without you being able to name it, and for that I'd say it's your unconscious reacting. So they were getting inside our heads, inside our unconscious, these late surrealists, and the geology does that too. This does the same thing for me. Now but mine is not fictional. Mine is literal.
Well, the dried mud could be so beautiful.
And I call this palimpsest because it has layers of implied rainstorms. You can see these little cracks. That's one rainstorm, and these little gradients, these mini gradients, and these flow here, and then finally ending up in the curled mud, which is the fastest dried. That's the curled means it dried very quickly. So the two different rates of drying, the top and the bottom, create the curl. So I enlarged this to 24 by 36 inches canvas. I have that in my living room. To me, it just fascinates me on end.
Joel, just to interject here, if anybody is interested in buying these original works, because these photographs are Joel's original photographs, how can they do that? Where can they go and purchase these works?
Well, I am now setting up a new website. This is your inspiration, Rachel. I said, I got to do it. And I'm doing a new website where it'll be very easy to buy them. Okay. Right now, you can see them at joelsimpsonart.com on my older website, but it's not set up for purchase. And then just email me or call me. My contact information is very easily obtainable on that one, or on earthforms.net, which is the book's website. So just get in contact with me.
Okay, I just dropped those in the comments, both on YouTube and Facebook, just if anybody wants to.
It'll be very simple. In a few days, it'll be very simple. Same joelsimpsonart.com. I'm going to transfer it over.
Fabulous. All right, I'm going to pass the mic back to you, Joel. This is fascinating, so please keep going.
Roberto Matta, it's the reversal of his. It's the monochromatic version reversed. So white is black and black is white, and as a painting analog of the palimpsest image. Can I go backwards? Yeah. There's the palimpsest. Okay. Now again, this is not a copy. There's the original. Oh, I see. No, this is not a reversal. It's merely monochromatic. Okay, but you can see it's kind of the same aesthetic. Now Matta's doing this out of his head. It's fictional, and I'm working with fact. Now here, I don't know, do you see, is there a face or not? I mean, is it scary or not? I don't know. Oh, now look at this. This is my Max Ernst piece. Look at this. And the next one is, here's Max Ernst. You can see the kinds of gestures, okay, he's using. And this is bright sunlight. You're not supposed to take landscapes in bright sunlight. But if you get close and you take these miniscapes, the shadow is often very interesting, okay? There's actually a bird there. This is from inside a lava tube. This is a kind of a cave that's not a karst cave. It's made from lava flowing along the ground and then emptying out and hardening on the outside and then being buried over the centuries. I see a scorpion here. But here we are in the other lava tube is in Northern California. This is in Wadi Rum, Jordan. And I don't know, do you see lizards or not? You don't have to. This is from Santa Maria de Gallura in Sardinia, northern Sardinia, and it's a granite, littoral granite. Granite's at the edge of the sea, which remind me very much of Tanguy. This is Wind Cave in the Black Hills of South Dakota. And this again is Sudas. This could be Pollock. This is in Bonifacio, in southern Corsica. And there's my book. I think that's this is Cap de Creus. This is where Dali spent his childhood, going to Cap de Creus, and he called it a catastrophe of cumuli in ruins. And this was one little detail of it that I call mask. Here's something I was fascinated with from Bisai Badlands again. I see a group of sculptures of native elders up here. Okay, so I call this the native Mount Rushmore. And Mount Rushmore is a thorn in the side of the Lakota because it's on their land, justifying the heads of the state that took their land from them. So this is the native Mount Rushmore, and that's their appearance. This is their thoughts. And this is their unconscious. So that's my little modular notion of this photograph. And now, is this a creature from the Tafoni-rich Salt Point State Park in California? This is Tafoni right here. I call it Tafonosaurus, like rhinoceros, Tafonosaurus. And that's the end of what I have for you today.
This is unbelievable, Joel. I'm so glad we got to actually look through the whole thing. It's fabulous.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my goodness, so many comments in the feed here. Does anybody have any questions for Joel? I see Deb Lee says here, palimpsest. I cannot even say that word. Is one of my favorite words. I totally get the photo.
Thank you, Deb. You know what a palimpsest is? Does everyone know what a palimpsest is? A real palimpsest.
Do educate us, Joel.
Okay, it's a medieval manuscript written on parchment. They didn't have paper. They had parchment, which is made of sheepskin. It was very expensive. So what they would do, they would erase a text and then write a text over it in order to reuse the parchment. Okay, but with modern methods of spectroscopy, we can actually see the indentations and read the earlier text. So we can read the several, there may be more than one, we can decipher the several texts on top of each other. So that photograph shows you 3 or 4 rainstorms that you can decipher, but they're all superimposed on each other. So that's why I called it that. Amazing.
We have a couple of new comments here. Let's see. Heather Davidson says, I can't believe this is free. This has been so wonderful and so fascinating, Joel. I feel like this is a presentation that needs to be, we need to get this spread far and wide, because it's the parallels between, these artists that you've picked out. It's just, all the various nuances of their style, and the parallels between these geological formats are just unbelievable, and things that, a layperson would never notice. But I hope that folks are going to be looking now a little deeper, maybe with their unconsciousness.
Well, let me just add something that gives me chills, because you're going in that direction. And that is, the fact is that this Earth, which we think of as impersonal, right, and other, of course, we come out of the Earth. In several billion years, we've been created. We come out of the Earth, and yet the Earth can be the projection screen for our unconscious. You could say the unconscious of the Earth contacts the unconscious of the humans through an artistic agency. But it's out there for anyone, okay? I've just learned to see it. And who has taught me? The artists have taught me. The artists who probe the unconscious and who put it into their art in clear terms. Their art that may be enigmatic and is not representational necessarily. It goes deep. So you learn to do it there, and then you start seeing it out there in the real world, not fiction. That's what I have to say. So,
right. Joel, I have to ask, because everything that you're saying is kind of it's drawing these parallels between our connection to the Earth and that almost being like a spiritual experience. Yeah. Are you a religious person, or are you an atheist?
Well, I'm a total atheist in terms of, I don't believe.
I sensed that.
Yeah, I don't believe in supernatural beings, but the natural is so amazing. It's mind-boggling. We have no idea how incredible it is. We live in this middle-level reality, thinking that most of reality can be accounted for by what we see. No, it's both much larger and much smaller. But it's not just on a visual scale. It's also on a time scale. Right, and it's also on a distance scale. Right, get out of one's immediate surroundings and travel. Go to these amazing places where millions of years, even billions of years, is on display. Or on display. They're incredibly old. Right, we're just we're coming so late in the day, but of course there's a future too, hopefully. But and then you're not only, or one is not only turned on by the diversity and the otherness of the things, but then you start to see familiarity. And it reminds me of when I was in Oregon, in a totally new place, and easy to get lost. And then it got dark, and there was no moon, and I looked up and I saw the stars, and I was home, because I knew where I was. There's the Big Dipper, there's Orion, there's the Milky Way. So, it gets dark, and all of a sudden you're at home in the universe. Now, maybe an illusion. It may still be miles from the nearest gas station or food source. But there are ways of feeling at home in this great universe. that's true of rocks too. When you learn how to look. Of course, the stars you can learn about at home, and then you go out and see them. Not in New Jersey though; it's too bright.
This is true. I can vouch for that.
I'm very, very grateful for my education, the people I've studied, the people I've known, to have given me this broad consciousness, and that's what I recommend for everyone. Expand your consciousness, visual, historical, psychological, artistic. Expand it, and the world will be rich for you.
Joel, how would you suggest that somebody who's I think you're inspiring a lot of people, and you will continue to inspire a lot of people with what you've shared during this amazing session. But for somebody who's thinking, well, how do I tap into that consciousness? How do I expand my horizons? What would be your advice to them?
Well, first of all, the pathways are all over the place. All right. Easy thing. Go to the Museum of Modern Art. Go to art museums and try to relate to the paintings, especially the ones that are a little enigmatic for you, a little difficult for you. Read challenging literature. Read Faulkner. Read Joyce. Read good novels. Read Paul Theroux's travelogues. Read Ghost Train to the Eastern Star, for example. Brilliant book about his travels in Asia. That's enormously mind-expanding. I wish I could write like him. Listen to music. Listen to challenging music. Listen to Beethoven and Brahms, but also Charles Ives and Bela Bartok. See where those take you.
This is just incredible.
All over the place. It's all over the place. Just don't be restricted by the television notion of what culture is.
And also now the internet as well, because let's face it, it can be so consuming. A lot
on the internet. You can look up every one of these artists. You can hear a Brahms symphony and see the players. I mean, it's an enormous resource. Photography is the perfect art for the internet. You can look up any photographer. If anyone wants to, I have a list of my favorite photographers, about 100 of them. And just look up every one. You can educate yourself. Of course, you're talking about social media and how narrowing that can be. Yeah.
Something else, this has been such an incredible session, Joel, and there's so much value here. But, one of the things that I'm certainly taking away is that I need to spend more time with the universe. The universe is what heals us. It's what, sparks your soul, sparks your curiosity, your creativity, and all these other things are just distractions. So just an amazing session, Joel. I'm so grateful. So I would love to hear from our audience. Does anybody have any questions for Joel? Take advantage of the fact that this is live and you have this brilliant mind here with you right now, folks, and do jump in with some questions. I see a great comment here. Just replaying your comment about the universe. At home in the universe, this is priceless. Thank you for tuning in, Paolo.
Study the stars.
Sorry. Heather Davidson, a fellow atheist. Atheists rule. Heather is a phenomenal scientist joining us. I see Judith, genius. A lot of great one-word feedback here, folks. I think people are just very inspired this morning.
Remember Henry James said, genius is the capacity for taking infinite pains. You take infinite pains because you love what you do, and you love the feeling that you get from other people's great art and your own successes more than you love anything else, non-human, of course, anything else material in the world.
Beautiful. I'm just scrolling through to see if there's any other comments here. I think this is our very own Jen. Ridiculous how gorgeous nature is. Yeah, I think.
And we wreck it too. It's unfortunate what we're doing to it. Years ago, when I decided to give up my belief in God, I said, I don't believe in any divine consciousness or intentionality. Right? Intentionality, the God would have to be a terrible joker or extremely cruel if there were one. As Voltaire said, if there weren't a God, we'd have to invent one. And Léo Ferré, the great French poet, singer, said, et si Dieu existait, il faudrait s'en débarrasser. And if God existed, we'd have to get rid of him.
I love that.
He was an anarchist and revolutionary. Okay, so if there is no divine consciousness or intentionality, then everything we see in the geological world is the Earth's unconscious. So it's a little verbal trick, okay? The Earth's unconscious. So there's our unconscious projecting onto the Earth's unconscious. It's a little conceit, all right? You can't build a scientific theory on it, but it's kind of a poetic idea.
It's beautiful, and so much food for thought here, folks. Amazing, Joel. Thank you so much. I feel like we're going to be hearing more from Joel. I think this is just such a phenomenal subject. The parallels between these two incredible experiences, the experience of nature, the experience of art, and bringing them together, Joel, in such a unique way. And how you're doing this is you're really starting a movement, I think, in terms of defining this form of expression as geological abstract. It's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. One quick comment here from Paula. Boom, so many gems. Thank you, Joel. Oh my gosh. The French singer Ferrer. You are my #1 hero, hands down. I think you got a new fan, Joel.
Thank you, Paola.
Art as our higher power. I love it.
Our higher power is inside us, and it's very real. Because we do face adversity, and we need places to go, and sometimes it's not enough to look at an inspired painting to feel better about our inner conflicts. And I've been through a lot of that. I've been through a lot of therapy and self-examination, and I've kept a journal since I was 18. And it's very rich and very complex. People give it different names. I just don't believe in anything supernatural, but the natural is already super.
It sure is. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful place to leave this conversation. Folks, I'm blown away. I'm sure our audience is blown away. This has been an incredible conversation. Do go check out Joel's work. Please visit his website. There are 2 websites. Joel's does have an amazing book out. Go purchase the book. Support what Joel is doing. We are artists. We do need support. Obviously, funding and supporting Joel's work allows him to get out there and do more of it. So we want to see more of this amazing, amazing work. Any last thoughts, Joel?
Thanks for the commercial.
Anytime.
All right. The websites are earthforms.net and joelsimpsonart.com.
joelsimpsonart.com is the last one?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Folks, this conversation has been recorded, so it will be live on both YouTube and on Facebook. If you haven't done so already, please do hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Feel free to leave us a review on Conception Art's Facebook page, and obviously go and follow Joel on social media, visit his website, etc. And we will be back next Friday with another episode of Coffee with Artists. This is Rachel Wilkins reminding you to stay creative and curious, folks. Have a wonderful, wonderful Friday, everybody.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks, Joel.